which was the zoo that this gorilla technically belonged to. And thank you very much for joining us. I first of all want to talk about this, that, social media just blew up about this, and a lot of people very upset and angry, of course, very concerned about the boy, glad that the boy is okay, obviously, but wonder why it was that this gorilla was killed. Was there a need to actually shoot and kill the gorilla? Were there other options that could have actually saved this animal, like a tranquilizer gun or something else that would have stunned the animal and had him let go and rescue the boy?
Yeah, people are passionate with their love for animals, and I understand that because nobody feels worse about this than the folks at the Cincinnati Zoo, but they absolutely made the right decision. You're talking about an animal that's 400 pounds, incredibly strong. I have seen gorillas take coconuts with their bare hands and break them. Though this gorilla may not have been intending to hurt the child, was frightened just dragging the child around, what would have happened if he's dragging the child and all of a sudden the child's head hits a rock or hits a piece of concrete and does some type of, God forbid, fatal injury? We wouldn't be talking about this right now. We'd be talking about why did they stop that gorilla from doing it the very time the first chance they had. That's the bottom line here. A tranquilizer dart is just going to agitate the gorilla, and they have what's called displaced aggression. An animal gets hurt, and the first thing it takes it out is whatever's next to it. That little boy, if it gets hit by the dart, that gorilla is going to react. It could do a horrific thing to that child at that point. The bottom line is that once that little boy was in the hands of that gorilla, unfortunately that's a death sentence for the gorilla, because there's no way to ensure what that gorilla is going to do next. You have to take every second counts at that moment. It would take a split second for that gorilla to do something. Intentionally or not, the massive strength of this animal, he doesn't understand his strength. Gorillas are called gentle giants, but that being said, he doesn't understand the strength. With a 4-year-old little boy, any type of injury could have been a fatal injury. Not intentional as it may have been, it still would have been horrific.
I have to say, watching that as a parent and seeing the gorilla and the child being dragged through the water was absolutely terrifying to see that, because you had no idea, what was actually coming next. There are some examples. Back in 1996, there was a famous case of a female gorilla at the Brookfield, Illinois Zoo that made headlines. She picked up and cradled a 3-year-old boy, you see it there, who fell nearly 20 feet into that enclosure, carried the boy to safety. Well, that gorilla continues to live at the zoo, and the boy, he suffered from broken bones and hands and cuts and bruises. And what we heard is that it was actually witnesses that saw the gorilla yesterday, seemed to hold the child in a protective way, but got alarmed because the screaming of the onlookers. Is that how you see it?
I see it the same way, yes. I think that gorilla was alarmed. I think he was frightened. It was a panic situation. This is no fault of the gorilla. This was a tragic situation all the way around. But the bottom line is it would have taken a split second. Male gorillas and female gorillas are two totally different animals. Understand, a female is maybe half the size of a male, has more of a maternal instinct. A male tends to be more of a protector. A male tends to be more of a defender. This male had not been a father yet. There was no way to predict what this male was going to do. The bottom line is this: there's no single animal life that's more important than a human life. And to do so, you have to understand the human life has to be protected at all costs, no matter what the risk is, no matter how minute people may think it is. God forbid, had something happened to that child, if that gorilla had just flung him one way or another, crushed his skull, what would we be talking about today? We'd be talking about how could they not have taken that gorilla out? It's a horrific situation.
Absolutely, and I think you're right about that. I mean, the zoo has responsibilities to really protect the animals, and also to protect and make sure that people can have access to the animals. When you take a look at the situation in Cincinnati, and you work at the zoo, do you see that there are ways that this zoo could have better protected this animal and this little boy, because he was small enough to get through, to squeeze through that little fence, that gate, and then fall into that moat?
Yeah, hindsight's 20/20 here. I have not seen the gorilla exhibit at Cincinnati Zoo for a long time. I can't really comment on it, but the bottom line is, I guarantee you that Thane Maynard and his incredible staff over there are going to be reevaluating this and try to do everything they can to ensure it doesn't happen again in the future. It's very, very hard to ensure against human error. And I think they're going to reevaluating all of that. It doesn't take away from the tragedy that's happened, but hopefully we can all learn something from it.
All right. Well, Ron McGill, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And obviously, it is really a delicate balancing act when you're talking about trying to protect and preserve these endangered species who are so close to human beings, and also, of course, weighing that against the needs to protect people who are there, who are trying to appreciate that. So, Ron, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much. We are also tracking severe weather across the country today. Parts of the East Coast on high alert. This is after a tropical depression makes landfall, causing heavy rain and flooding. You're looking at, these are images now in South Carolina, just submerged in water. It's incredible what folks are going through. This is to the west. Dramatic search effort in Kansas. This is for an 11-year-old boy. He was swept away in rushing flood waters. And in Texas here, severe flooding already taking at least 4 lives, while 3 are still missing, including a 10-year-old boy who slipped and fell into the Brazos River. That is near Fort Worth. The mayor of Rosenberg, Texas, declaring a state of disaster now. Mandatory evacuations will take effect in the next hour.
I mean, I kind of didn't prepare for it. We knew it was coming, but at the same time, I mean, you don't prepare for something like this to pack up your whole house in a morning.
Tom Sater has more on the devastating floods, and Jennifer Gray live in South Carolina. So, Tom, good to see you here. Is there an end in sight in the flood and the rain that we're seeing here? Obviously, people want to know, when is this going to end?
The rain has let up, and that's good news, Suzanne. In fact, I think it's going to be until Tuesday we'll get another round. But one weather system after another moved into parts of Texas. Mainly we're talking Houston down to Galveston area and some suburbs to the north. But really, even in the middle of the country since last Saturday, over 100 tornadoes. The good news is we're looking at a dry radar picture, but the rivers and streams are going to continue to go up. And that's where we've got some problems, because historic flooding is occurring. Numerous roads are closed. This is always good news, but when you look at the last 48 hours, we're looking at communities that were devastated just last month with a foot of rainfall. And the same communities even a year ago to date, Memorial Day weekend. In red is a danger zone. Now, this is on the San Jacinto River. It has dipped down, but you're getting over 120 feet, so that's going to occur. It's the Fort Bend County communities there. Again, just last night, more evacuations. But also in Montgomery County, we had over 200 water rescues from first responders just a Friday night alone. So the good news is we're going to catch a little bit of a break. This is Monday morning. So again, even as rivers and streams will rise, the last thing they want is any more rainfall. This is Monday morning. So again, that'll slide back into those communities, unfortunately, by Tuesday. So if that wasn't bad enough, I know, Suzanne, you have more on my counterpart who's looking at the flooding going on in parts of the East Coast.
But before we let you go, the upcoming weather conditions, is it going to help or hurt those rescue and search efforts that are underway?
Well, it should help the communities that have seen rising waters in their homes. There have been a number of families that have been trapped. They've been able to get in there, but there are still more families that are in need of evacuating. As you see here, these pictures that we've already been receiving, this will continue to take place. But it's those that live on the rivers, the larger tributaries, Suzanne, they're going to have to evacuate. In some cases, it's just voluntary, but they are using water pumps that seemed to work just last month when the same communities had this devastating flooding. Many families already receiving funds from FEMA may not get another dime now that they're going through this just a month later.
Wow. Tom, thank you so much. Appreciate that. We wish the best to those folks down there.
Yes.
And Jennifer Gray, of course, in Charleston, South Carolina. Jennifer, you're on the ground there. What do you see in terms of flooding, the water? How high has it gotten?
Well, in Charleston, actually not bad at all. We have had some off and on showers throughout the day. The heaviest rainfall is actually south of us, outside of Ridgeland, where we have seen water extremely high. In fact, parts of I-95 are shut down at the moment because of the high water. So people urge not to drive through it if you do see high water, and just stay home. So Charleston, actually, people are out and about. We've actually seen a few peaks of sunshine. People have cabin fever here, though. They were shut inside all day yesterday and most of today. Downtown now, people are starting to come out, and so the real risk as we move forward will be the rip currents here and north of us. When you have that strong east wind, the rip currents can be deadly. In fact, one missing swimmer off the coast of North Carolina is up last night. So people need to be careful, especially coming here from other parts of the country, not sure exactly how to look for rip currents and how dangerous they can be. So the rain, the flooding south of us, and the rip currents will be the main concern moving forward. This system has been downgraded to a tropical depression, but the rain will linger across northern portions of Georgia and South Carolina through tomorrow as it continues to push north, and a lot of the moisture already making its way north through the mid-Atlantic. Suzanne.
All right, Jennifer Gray, appreciate it. Of course, cabin fever can get you out there. I know all about that in D.C. 2 weeks of rain. So thank you very much, Jennifer. Appreciate it. The Rolling Thunder motorcycle rally underway this Memorial Day weekend. Donald Trump is expected to speak there. Scott McLean, he is at the event. And Scott, tell us what people are saying about Trump's expected speech.
Yeah, hey, Suzanne, as you mentioned, thousands of motorcycles rumbling through Washington, D.C. this Memorial Day weekend. And
secured the nomination about an hour ago at the party's convention in Orlando. This will be Johnson's second time to run as the Libertarian